The principle of proximity. Web design has 4 basic principles, and proximity is one of them. When we talk about proximity, we're talking about the importance of free space or white space. When we are beginners, on many occasions, we tend to space the elements on the page because we are afraid of empty or blank spaces. However, the correct use of the proximity technique is one of those things that makes the difference between a beginner and an advanced designer. This technique seeks to group elements if they have something in common. You want them close to each other. Thus, as a rule of thumb, things that are not related must be separated, and things that are related must be together. Proximity in web design. Let's see the following example. A web footer. As you can see in this image, most elements have been separated from each other, perhaps because of fear of blank spaces. However, web design in general likes to group elements that are related. Let's see the next image. Now you can appreciate how the elements that have something in common are closer, creating a relationship with each other. Let me explain to you what has changed. Now the titles are aligned with their respective buttons as well as being closer to them, since they all share something in common and hence look better together. You can also see how the buttons are now aligned and together as they share a relationship. They allow the user to decide what the next action they want to perform will be. In general, all the elements are closer. They all share something in common. Just by applying this web design principle, the design looks much better. You need to be aware of this principle at all times and put it into practice. Proximity in web design in general. All this insistence on proximity is not just because you want the elements to look good. The main purpose of proximity is to help make your content more digestible for the user. Remember, the easier for the user, the better. Proximity isn't just used in web design. This principle applies to design in general. I remember a fairly accurate example that I saw in a web design course that I took, in which a business card was shown more or less like this. What do you feel when you see this card? Did your eyes stop several times to digest the content? This example is not the easiest to digest and it does not do a good communication job. As a designer, one of your most important jobs is to be able to communicate information to the user. Now, let's see another example in which we have applied the principle of proximity. Let's group the related elements. Even if this particular example is not as colorful as it could be, just by applying this simple but extremely powerful principle of proximity, we managed to create a business card that can communicate information really easy. Anyone who receives this business card will be able to digest the information much easier without flicking their eyes from side to side. Core concepts. When you group multiple elements together that share a relationship, you create a visual unity that allows you to easily convey information. In order to see it in action and understand it perfectly, do this simple exercise with all your designs. Pay close attention to where your eyes go and ask yourself the following questions. Are my eyes comfortable following the information? How much does the design make my eyes stop? It is easy to find information? In order to avoid negative answers to the previous questions, take notes of what you should avoid. First one, avoid having a lot of separate elements. like the ones that we saw on the first business card. Second, don't create elements in the corners just for the sake of avoiding white spaces. And third, don't group unrelated items. If items are unrelated, just move them apart. Remember that one of your most important jobs as a designer is to communicate. The principle of proximity helps you make this task easy. Proximity helps you create order out of chaos. Something that will help you handle proximity much more easily is using a grid. A grid will allow you to create order and harmony in a simple way. Most design programs have an easy to implement grid system that allows you to face web design challenges by applying not just the principle of proximity, but the rest of fundamental principles. From now on, the world will not be the same for you. Since if you come across a design that does not put the principle of proximity into practice, you will be able to detect it, and we all know what that means. If you can detect the problem, then you can solve it. Since you are now aware of proximity, let's talk about our next principle of design, alignment.